Good morning and welcome to GrainTV.
Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV.
Cody, what's your favorite number out of this morning's July data?
Yeah, I'd say that. Good morning and welcome to GrainTV. Today is September 29th. We had positive macroeconomic news in the overnight, causing the Dow to open sharply higher. Well, what caused this change in temperament? Well, the Eurozone, Germany, passed a vote to give an expansion of power to the European Financial Stability Facility. This is important because Germany is a key player in the Eurozone. We cannot have a meaningful solution or a meaningful, any kind of meaningful solution without their participation. So, on a second note, officials are also visiting Greece to assess the compliance to receive the next tranche of bailouts. If we have any sort of surprises there, that could really affect the markets.
Adding to the positive tone this morning, we actually saw here domestically a rather positive unemployment claims number come out, which fell 37,000 down to a low of 391,000, the lowest point since April 2nd. So I'm looking at that as pretty positive for the domestic arena here. And that's getting close to that sustainable growth number that the industry believes is the number that we need to have to actually start cutting into that unemployment number that has been relatively high for the last couple of weeks. That sustainable growth number is sitting at 375,000. So we're getting pretty close. We are again at the lowest point since April, so I'm looking at that as pretty positive here domestically.
Okay. Now we also had positive news with second quarter GDP revised up from 1.2 to 1.3%. That will help the overall market. Now with all this macroeconomic news and the positive tone, we expect grain markets to open slightly higher as a result. But really, we've seen four weeks of selling in corn, 4 weeks of selling in wheat. Have we seen any sort of demand hop back into the export market, Brock?
I think this week is actually the first indications that we have some demand coming back into the export arena. We did see corn meat expectations were actually at the upper end of expectations, with sales to South Korea and Taiwan being noted. Soybeans were at the upper end of expectations as well, with a nice uptick this week of about 37%. We saw China be a large purchaser again, so it looks like we're going to get some demand back out of Asia for soybeans and corn. I believe on the soybean front, that Chinese purchase is factored in to the market already. But looking ahead, purchases that come out of China are going to be very bullish for the market. Wheat, on the other hand, we were at the middle of expectations, slightly down from last week's high number, we're down about 41% from last week. But we did see Taiwan make a rather large purchase in the overnight. So I'm looking at the export sales as being pretty good. After we've had a massive sell-off for the last couple of weeks, these prices have to be enticing to these exporters or the importers, going forward.
So that's good to see, and that should help prices going forward. We'll be back after a short commercial break and watch the market open and go over expectations for the quarterly stock report. Welcome back to GrainTV. It looks like the market is opening up just positive here. Brock, what's your take?
Yeah, in the overnight we saw a change. Basically, corn unchanged in the overnight. Soybeans we were actually negative in the overnight, and wheat was actually slightly positive. So this morning's slew of positive macroeconomic news coming out of Europe, the unemployment number, and also the GDP number being revised higher, I think is having a positive effect on the grains this morning. December corn is up about a half cent right now. Soybeans are actually turned around and positive to the tune of 6 cents, and wheat is actually up about 7 to 8. So I do look for the macros to actually propel these markets a little bit higher today.
Yeah, I think one of the big supporters of grains and commodities as a whole here is the dollar. The dollar actually has taken or lost some ground here this morning. Euro gaining a little bit of strength as people have a little bit more confidence when Germany passed that vote to give the expansion of power to the European Financial Stability Facility. On a second note here, let's just switch over to December corn. I just kind of want to show you there's one thing that really stands out in my mind here. We saw a major break of the 200-day moving average We're now well below that at 631. If we were to mount that again, get back up over 642, I'd see that as a positive. But as for right now, the fact that we penetrated that with such conviction yesterday, I'm concerned. I see that as a very bearish signal going forward.
Yeah, it looks like it's setting up to be quite a significant resistance level, but I'm looking at the positive end of things where its support is going to be down at about 620 right now. So we're going to be in that tight range of 620 to 642 maybe for the next couple of days. We are at the end of a quarter. We're at the end of the month, so we're going to see some position evening, possibly some profit taking after this long sell-off going forward for the next few days or so.
Yeah, I actually see that that position evening, the end of the quarter, as a kind of a negative for corn, mostly because it's going to be very hard to get the conviction needed to mount that 200-day moving average and kind of rebuild the broken chart that we see right now. So.
Yeah, let's move over and let's take a look at what's going to happen tomorrow. We're going to have the quarterly grain stocks report come out tomorrow, so I'm looking at that as big news, going to affect the markets for the next couple of days. And Cody, if you could flip over to that slide, we'll take a look at it. Basically, what we're looking at is a pretty tight range for corn, about 820 million to over $1 billion is what we're looking at for the quarterly stocks. The average of those estimates is about 962, which would be about a 42 million bushel change from the September 12th USDA report. The number I really want to emphasize is the 1 billion bushel quarterly stock. If we end up with a number that's somewhere above that, that's going to be very bearish for the market. That's kind of the tipping point, if you will, that the market determines is enough to carry us over for the next year. So 1 billion, look at above that, it's going to be bearish. Somewhere in the average of estimates or below, it's probably going to be neutral to slightly bullish for the market. Soybeans, on the other hand, I'm looking for not a whole lot to change there. The average of the analyst estimate is about unchanged as well from the September 12th report. So not a whole lot to be going on the soybean front tomorrow. But wheat is going to be a big mover with nearly a 1 billion bushel increase in that ending stock or that quarter stock. But keep in mind, we did have a very good soft red winter wheat harvest and a hard red winter wheat harvest in the last quarter. And we've also seen prices tumble, but the demand really hasn't been there on the export front, going forward. So.
All right, well, we'll have an early show on Friday to summarize the quarterly stocks report and the impact that it will have on grain markets and perhaps your marketing strategy. So join us then. We'd be happy to have you. You can follow us on Twitter and reach us at 866-290-1196. Look forward to seeing you on Friday.